Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Titanic. And this movie is directed by James Cameron, and it came out in 1997. And I've seen this movie once before, and I really enjoyed it back then. And rewatching it, I still really enjoyed it. I have my own criticisms with this movie, and it's mostly just a personal preference as to what I get out of it. And for me, this is one of those movies that gets better as it goes along. And for the first hour of the movie, I thought I was a little uninvested and not fully with it. Not to say that I didn't care at all, but it did take a while for me to really get invested in the story, and it took about an hour for that to happen. And once we got to that point, that's when I still started to really like the movie, and the romance between our two main characters was great, and they had really good chemistry. And those scenes is what I really loved about the movie. And pretty much all of the second half is the Titanic sinking, and it's just this one big action scene. And it's really great, and it's never boring to watch. And the characters are well written for the most part, and you genuinely care about these characters. And for some of them, they give them like a minute or maybe even less of screen time, and then after that they just die. And I'm just questioning, why did you show off these characters? I get to that it's supposed to heighten the emotion and show off consequence, but you already have a lot of people dying from this disaster. That's, I guess, minor spoilers, but I'm pretty sure you all know what happens in real life. Like the Titanic, it sinks, and then lots of death happens. So you're already expecting that to happen, but it's still very well done. And now going back to characters that I really liked Kathy Bates in this movie. I thought she was great, and her character is not in it a whole lot, but when she's on screen, she adds a lot to the movie, and she's really fun to watch, and she's really likable. And Kate Winslet, I thought she was great in this movie. Leonardo DiCaprio was decent in the movie. For the first hour or so, I found him to be a little inconsistent. Sometimes he was really good. Other times, I thought he was a little off in his line delivery, and I didn't buy him as the character. But overall, I liked him. And Billy Zane, I thought his character was a little too cartoonish for my liking, and it was very over the top. And there was a point in this movie where he just breaks out and he takes a table and just throws it across the room. And the way it was executed was really cartoonish to me, and I wasn't into it. And you could make the argument that he's just a really goofy character, and you're not really supposed to take him too seriously. And he's really just a pathetic man who has basically nothing but money, and that's all there is to him. And he just wants to win everything. In the end, I always win. He's a character like that, just a character that you're supposed to love to hate. But he was a little too over the top for me in the first half. In the second half of the movie, I got along with him just fine. I could accept his character in the way that he was, but in the first half, it just didn't feel right to me. And I haven't even gotten to one of my favorite parts of this movie, and that is the music. I thought it was really great and very memorable, and when the movie was over, I went back and listened to it. And I also, out of context, just decided to rewatch that, that classic scene where Kate Winslet, or Rose, she's flying with her arms out. She's like, I'm flying, and I decided to watch that scene just out of context, and just listening to the music, there was actually a lot more going on musically than I realized when I first watched it. And I could literally make this whole video go on for 20-25 minutes just talking about that scene alone. So there's a lot going on musically that I could just get into, and I would love to talk about, but I don't want to make this video go on forever. Especially a spoiler-free review, even though I kind of talked about some spoilery things that you're probably expecting already. So that's why I consider it to be okay to say that the Titanic sinks. I don't think anyone's going to go into this movie expecting the Titanic to not sink. That would be a little weird. There were lots of really memorable scenes in this movie, and anything that goes past the first act of this movie is really great, and it was very memorable. And like I said, I really loved the music, and even though I spent a lot of time complaining about the movie for the issues that I have with it, to be honest, they didn't bother me as much as like I am talking about them, if that makes sense, because this movie is 3 hours and 15 minutes long, and in a movie that is that long, the more, I guess, minute issues that I have with the movie, the less it's going to affect the entire experience overall. And I really do love watching this movie. Like, the experience that this movie offers overall, I really love. And my only other complaint with this movie would be that I personally do not feel as though the 3 hour and 15 minute runtime is justified. I think it could be 2.5 hours and I would be fine with it. Maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes, but it is too long for what it is. Not that I can't enjoy a 3 hour long movie or 3.5 hour long movie. Like, there are plenty of 3 hour long movies that I love. It's just that this one was a bit too dragged out for me personally. Which is kind of weird to say in a James Cameron movie, because he usually does a really great job with pacing in his movies. Like, the first two Terminators, really great pacing. True Lies, really great pacing. Alien, same thing. Avatar, same thing. I haven't seen The Abyss yet, but this movie, I was fine for a good amount of it, which is why I don't take off too much for that. And without spoiling anything, I thought that the last 30 minutes did make it a great movie for me instead of just a really good movie. And I thought that it ended really strong, and I really love the song My Heart Will Go On. I think that's a really great song, and I know that it was played on the radio quite a bit, like forever, when this movie came out. So it was a pretty popular song, and I love it. And I can understand why. And that's about all I have to say about Titanic. I thought it was great. The last 30 minutes really did the movie a great service. And while it was a bit rough for me in the first hour, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It did get better as it went along, and it just becomes a really good movie and eventually a great movie. And has some really great and powerful scenes and really great characters and great performances. And there's just a lot that I love about this movie. So check it out if you haven't already. And I'm going to give Titanic an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Titanic, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Fully Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Other Guy. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.